Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Game of Trades and this is going to be a technical analysis of crude oil WTI futures. It's been a while since I haven't taken a look at the longer term charts in crude oil, so that's what I'm going to do today, and then I'm going to jump into the daily charts to see what's going on over there. So make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. So this is a weekly chart of crude oil WTI futures, and as you can see, we have a nice trend line dating back to 2016 that we broke down when the stock market and the crude oil market crashed, and we blew right past this trend line. We had another smaller trend line right here that we broke here, and I wasn't on YouTube yet back when this happened, but this was definitely a tradable break of trend line, and it went down, I think, 40% down to the bottom, bounced back off of a nice support level. So, this is where my crude oil short thesis comes from. We have a classic break of trend line, a back test, and now we have the follow through after the back test. And what typically happens when you have a follow through of the back test is it tends to go lower than how it originally broke, and that would take us definitely all the way down to $40 level. Now this seems a little bit apocalyptic, but considering how crude oil is heavily correlated to the stock market, and how the stock market is showing extreme weakness and signs of reversal after a strong bull market and an overextended bull market for 10 years. We've been in a bull market. It's only normal and only healthy that we have a correction after such overextended upside, and crude oil is only a part of this market, and will be correlated to the stock market. And so far, that's actually what we've been seeing, is that when the stock market crashes, crude oil follows through, and when it counter rallies, same thing. But just keeping in mind this chart, the weekly chart looks extremely bearish for me. The crude oil weekly chart just looks like a typical backtest. Now we're starting to form a downtrend line, and reversing off of this downtrend line and starting to curl back down to potentially undercut these lows. Now, we'll see when we get there. I'm going to get into the daily charts to see how this may look, but it could happen within 2019. We'll see, possibly leading into 2020. That's my outlook. I always like to have a bigger picture when I trade a commodity. Now, again, I may be wrong. I'm not always right, and anything can happen in trading, but that is definitely my preferred scenario and how I personally will trade crude oil in the coming weeks to months. So now let's take a look at the daily chart and see what's going on in the shorter term. Now on the daily chart, I have a few things to highlight. I'd like to first comment on this downtrend line that we are finally starting to form. I've been waiting to see a downtrend line on crude oil because, if I have a short thesis on the longer term, I'd like to see a downtrend line forming, indicating that we are going to continue our way down for a longer time to perhaps eventually undercut these lows. Now, this downtrend line, as you can see, has 3 reactions, and that is the minimum amount of reactions that I like to see on a downtrend line, because you can just connect any 2 points on a chart. It won't make a trend line. However, if you have 3 consecutive points, you will have a downtrend line. So that's the first thing I like to see. I'd like to see a reaction, a full reaction off of this trend line, and that means, a big red candle coming down off of it. And if you do see this, if you do see a red candle coming off of this downtrend line, you can definitely trade it to start to make our way down lower. You can short it when you start seeing a bigger red candle. Today I think we're down 1%. If we start going down a little bit more today, that would definitely be a sell signal on crude oil to go down lower, to perhaps definitely down to 50.64. So I'm definitely short on crude oil now. We had this trade right here at the peak to my 3 targets. We hit my 3 targets consecutively. I closed my short positions here. I made a video clarifying I was not short anymore here. We bounced, and now that we have this trend line here, we're stalling at this trend line. I am definitely short again on crude oil. And I've been building my short positions. I made a video, I think it was a couple days ago, indicating some divergence on the hourly. It didn't play out, but I'm definitely starting to make a little position again, short position again. So that's first thing I like to see on the daily chart, the downtrend line. Now, second thing I want to say is the MACD that's starting to turn over and curl back down at the 0 line. And if you've been on my channel for a while, that I love to use the 0 line on the MACD. When the MACD is trending above, crude oil is in a uptrend. When it's trending below the 0 line, it is in a downtrend, and currently we are below, and it tends to act as support and resistance, and currently it is acting as resistance. So if we start curling back down, it will be additional confirmation that we are in a downtrend, and that we can definitely start to make our way lower than this 50 level, and perhaps all the way down to the 42 level. So the combination of all of these bearish factors that I see for crude oil tells me that we are definitely going down to 51. So for the purpose of this video, I always like to make a trade setup when I make a video. With a target and a stop. I am going to make the target here, the support level. We might see a reaction off of this support level, definitely. So if you're trading crude oil, just know that I am waiting to see what happens when we hit this 51 level, and that would be a nice 10% level. I am trading with DWT, so that would be a nice 30% gain on crude oil, shorting crude oil. So that would be a nice return if this trade plays out. Sorry. My stop, obviously, I need to put a stop on, is any move above 60. This is the high that we've made here. If we start trading higher than this, crude oil, it's not a very good signal. If we start to trend above the 60, we'll have broken the downtrend line, and who knows where crude oil will go up from there. So that's another thing I'd like to say. The stop at 60, and the target of 51.6 seems pretty reasonable. So a nice trade setup here with a good risk-reward ratio. I know you guys like these kind of precise level stop and target. So that's about it on crude oil. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. In the meantime, good luck on your trading, and see you next time.